Okay, I'm currently on the track here in Mangakino. I've put this whole camera rig on a monopod just to see how it works, because I still seem to have some problems stabilizing things, but I think I'm a bit too tall for it. So I'm sort of up and down, but never mind, it was worth a try. It's friggin' heavy though. I've just spent this morning working online, did some readings and just made 2 videos for my other channel. So I figured it was about time to get out for a walk and get some nature. So I'm just hanging around today because I was going to go and pick up my parcel, but Courier post seemed to be processing it endlessly at their depot rather than putting it on a courier van. That seems to be the habit of that particular depot in Hamilton. And then I got an update saying it was in Auckland. I was like, why would you send it from Hamilton to Auckland to go to Tokoroa from Wellington? It's like, so I rang them and they were like, oh no, it's not in Auckland, it's in Hamilton. So I get a bit worried when this sort of crap starts happening with them, because they broke a laptop I bought once, which, it was insured, so it turned out okay, but it was just a blimmin' hassle, and they lied about that for days before they actually admitted to me that they'd broken the parcel and were investigating it. So I had to contact the company, which they hadn't done, they should have done, and they had to send me another one while this investigation garbage went on. So every time they do this endlessly processing at depot, I get really worried that they've broken it and are not wanting to own up to it, so hopefully not, because it is a camera lens and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, and I spent quite a bit of money on it, and it's second hand, so they probably be a bit harder to figure that one out. But anyway, fingers crossed, hopefully everything will work out okay, and at some point today they might even put it on a courier van. Okay, I'm just doing laundry. It's one of the wonderful things about this little village, is that it has a little laundry. It only has 2 machines, but I find generally if you get here earlier, you can get one. And I like it because I can walk up here. I don't have to drive my truck up here to be able to do it. I just put everything in my little backpack and off I trundle. I have no idea if this camera is level or not. So in this video, I'm still at Mangakino, and I wanted to talk about something because, well, it's autumn. The days are getting shorter. I woke up this morning and thought it was the middle of the night because it was still dark. So one of the things that I see so often on Facebook, people are posting who've just gone on the road, who're just starting out, and their batteries are diving into death. Their batteries are just getting too hard a time, usually because the owner doesn't understand how to use them and what's required, because unless you research it, generally if you buy a second-hand or used RV, you're not told that, and even people with new RVs aren't necessarily told that. So I want to talk about that before people use up all their battery and keep running it right down, and running into trouble with that, having a hard time. because eventually if you do that enough you won't be able to charge it anymore and it's dead, and you have to buy a new one, which is expensive. And yeah, so forth. Yes, they're lithium batteries. They are expensive. They're supposed to be very good. I don't have lithiums. I have AGM batteries. But one thing, a friend of mine who's an electrician, an electrical engineer, he told me a little bit about his usage of his, and that you have to monitor all the cells. You don't just monitor the battery, you monitor, that all the cells are sort of charging and being used equally. So that's something to keep in mind if you do decide to go lithium. But with other batteries, really, I mean, I try to keep mine above 70%. Often when I go to bed, they're still at 80%, because that seems to make them last. My last batteries lasted about 11 years. These ones, I don't know how long I've had them in for yet. May they last a bit longer. I don't want to buy new batteries at the moment. They seem to be good. But the best way to look after your batteries, AGMs are sealed, but if you have wet batteries, top them up with water. Use distilled water, don't use tap water because it's got minerals and metals and stuff in it, whereas distilled water has been distilled, so it doesn't have any of that stuff that's going to stick to your battery plates and create issues. So yeah, but distilled water is cheap. You can buy it at Super Cheap or Repco or any of those places. So it's worth doing. Another thing is don't run them right down. I've downloaded a wee chart because I can never remember this stuff in my head. So depending on whether you have a voltmeter or one of those readouts that give you battery percentage, but if you've got a voltmeter, which is what I've got, and I just kind of know where that's at. My voltmeter is part of my solar regulator, and I know it reads just a smidgen high because I've used a multimeter to double check it. So I keep that in mind. But generally, yeah, a fully charged battery is 12.6 and up. Usually while you've got solar or driving or charging, they'll come up to 14 point something. Mine usually come up to about 14.3 or something, and then they go into a float charge and they'll sit on that, and then once the charge stops, the sun goes away or you stop driving or charging, then it'll settle down. Mine usually actually sit a bit higher than that, but yeah, 12.6 and up is good. So, 60-70%, you're looking at 12.30, sort of 1220 to 1230 volts. You're still sort of in the safe range as far as I'm concerned. This chart actually says you can go down to 11.9. I wouldn't do that. That's only 40% battery. It'd be okay if you do it once in a blue moon, but regularly it's going to shorten your battery's lifespan over time. So regular deep cycle batteries like AGMs, wet cells, all of those, they don't like being repeatedly dragged right down and charged up again. So try and keep them in those higher percentages or voltages. They'll just last longer and give you a whole lot less trouble. If you haven't got a voltmeter or some sort of gauge on your battery system, which quite often if people don't have solar, they don't have any way of knowing. A good cheap way, when I first bought this truck, a friend of mine, he hardwired a multimeter into my system because I didn't have any way of knowing what was happening. He just cut the wires off the end of a multimeter he'd bought and tested and put it in there. And so I could just turn it to the 20 and go, okay, I've got 14 volts at the moment, or whatever's going on. That's a good cheap way to do it, but you can buy cheap voltmeters anyway now. So I highly recommend you at least get something like that so that you know where your batteries are at. Some people buy camper vans and they don't have a solar system installed, so they're not sure what's happening with their battery, and it's quite easy to just keep using it until your lights go dim, and then you're starting to give your batteries a really hard time. So yeah, do find a way of monitoring them. It's just going to help you so much and make your batteries last so much longer. Another thing is check your terminals, make sure they're clean. Bit of Vaseline on your battery terminals. I quite regularly just spray a bit of CRC just along the top of the batteries and give them a wipe, because the whole top can get covered with road muck and dust, and that'll hold moisture across the top, which is also not brilliant. You don't want that all sitting up there. I mean, moist dirt conducts electricity rather well. So yeah, give them a wipe, clean up your terminals, and yeah, rub a little bit of Vaseline on them, and that should keep them happy over winter. But yeah, do watch your batteries as the days are getting shorter. Even if you've got solar, you might not get quite as much charge. Get into a rhythm with it. Like for me, I don't have to constantly look anymore. I've been doing this for a long time. Like my typical evening, sometimes I get online and run the inverter a little bit, but generally I do all my computer work during the day while I've got power going in, because I run my laptop off the inverter because it's a really grunty editing laptop that uses lots of power. In the evenings I generally have my phone on charge. My toilet has a little micro fan in it. I use the water pump, some lights, a couple of lights. They're all LEDs, and I might watch YouTube for a couple of hours, which I watch through a Chromecast on my TV. And generally when I go to bed, my batteries are still pretty darn full. If I decide I have to get online and do something crazy like website stuff or processing something like that, it might be a little bit less, but I won't let them get too low. So yeah, enjoy autumn. It's going to be a bit cooler now, which I'm going to enjoy. I don't know, for me when it's like 30 degrees, I don't feel like doing a whole lot, you know. Like going for a big walk or bike ride's just like, ugh, I'm just going to sweat and it's going to feel yucky. So I tend to turn a bit lazy in summer quite often. So today I walked up to the laundromat, which was awesome. I enjoyed it because it wasn't stifling hot. It was quite nice, and did a little bit of washing. And yeah, after receiving this camera lens now, I'll be able to move on in the next few days, which I'm planning on doing. I've got a bit more work in the morning. I've also got a bit of web stuff to sort out. Whoops, neighbours are driving past. And I hope you're waving to Shelly Cat. Those guys have a sweet little cat, and she's tried so hard to be friends with Fiends, and Fiends just doesn't want to be friends at all. So anyway, I've rambled on a bit here. I'm going to put this image of the battery levels and percentages and things in the video, but you can download it, have a look online. You can download a chart like that, and if you've just got a voltmeter, I used to have one stuck on the wall next to my voltmeter, just so I could remember what was what. It was quite handy. I don't have it there now because I pretty much kind of know what's what, but it was really, really useful. For quite a while I could just go, oh yeah, that's 70%, okay. So anyway, lots of love, enjoy life, keep travelling, don't get stressed, stay healthy, and I'll see you all next time.
Light me up, don't you stop, 'cause tonight it's on the line. Show me how you get on down.